Hi. So welcome to old friends and welcome to new faces. It's lovely that you're able to join us this evening. My name's Kate. It doesn't show my name on the screen, but we'll take a moment to introduce the trustees once people have arrived in a moment. So maybe whilst people are arriving, perhaps you might like to pop in the chat where you're from, because I think we've got people from quite a variety of places joining us this evening, and it's always interesting to see. So if anyone's comfy to share where you're from, just popping that in the chat. And then maybe muting yourselves. Let's have a look and see. Where are we from? We've got Bangor in North Wales, near Banbury, Gower, Penarth. Oh, Emma, I'm Penarth as well.
Hello.
I don't think we've met. That's interesting. Hi,
And
good to meet
Tracy is
you.
as well when she gets round to putting it in the chat.
Fantastic.
Oh no, she
We've
has
got,
put it in the chat.
okay, wonderful. We've got Hayley from Carmarthenshire. Oh yes, hi, Tracy from Penarth. Ah, brilliant. Paul from Cardiff. Hi, Paul. Great. Ah. Oh, well, I'm intrigued about the Penarth people now. That's lovely. That's lovely that you're able to join us like that.
North Mafia.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So let's just give one more minute for people to arrive and then we'll get started. Ooh, here we go. Madeira Island, Portugal.
Exotic.
A very warm welcome to you from there. That's lovely that we were able to join together in this way. Fantastic. There may be one or two people joining us in the next few moments, but yeah, let's make a start, I think. So my name is Kate. I'm Kate Tucker, and I'm one of the trustees here at Mindfulness Wales. And we'd like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you this evening. We're delighted that you're able to join us for our evening on the theme of mindfulness and nature. So we've got a couple of really interesting and thought-provoking presentations lined up for us this evening, which we will introduce in due course. And just to let you know that we'll be recording the presentations this evening, but we won't be recording the general discussion time afterwards. So we will be introducing Mindfulness Wales and what we get up to here, just as not all of you will be familiar with us as an organisation, but it's always nice to start with an arrival practice, just to give us a few moments to land, to come into the present moment and to connect with what's here, just kind of notice what we've arrived with, all the stuff from the day, and give ourselves a chance for that to settle. So I'm going to just hand over to our chair of Mindfulness Wales, Liz Williams, who will be kindly leading us in a practice for around the next 10 minutes. So thank you so much, Liz. Over to you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So, inviting you all to have whatever wriggle that you habitually have or your body needs at the moment to set yourself up for a practice. And I just do love looking around the room and seeing everyone's got their own little wriggle. We all have our own just habitual movements, and sometimes they're really subtle. Sometimes they're quite major, but just what does your body need? Just for you to settle and say for about 10 minutes. And then sinking into settling. And acknowledging that you've probably had to do some scrabbling to get here, to free up this hour and a half. Generally means getting stuff done to clear the space there, and just noticing any echoes of that scrabble that might still be here. And that might be mind or body. There might be still lots going on, and that's all perfectly normal and interesting. But as you settle, and I'll just throw some words in: settling, yielding, softening, allowing. See if there is any response in your body to how it moves towards this opportunity to practice for a few moments. Just letting go, a bit of giving yourself up to gravity. I love this thought of gravity is always pulling us towards the center of the earth, and it's actually the floor beneath us is saving us from being pulled any further. So just maybe checking the feeling of your feet on the floor, that being supported, holding you here with just the right amount of strength. Sometimes I like to imagine that gravity is turned up really strong, but just the right amount to keep us steady, but not to stop us moving. How amazing is that? So just feeling your feet on the floor, there is something so steadying about being grounded. Moving the attention up to your bottom on the chair, and see if you can let gravity wash down through your body and sink into the seat. Whereas you've probably spent most of the day perched on the edge, waiting to get on to the next thing. But for now, nowhere to go, nothing to do, at least for these few moments. So you can afford to sink into the seat, let gravity take your weight. And then a bit of a check-in with the shoulders. I often have to do a shoulder roll at this point because, like most of us, we have our shoulders tensed up, ready to carry the weight of the world. And of course, there is a lot of weight in the world to carry, but we don't have to carry it now. So not for these few moments. So letting it go, letting your arms hang like heavy curtains. Just getting a sense of your body being here in whatever shape it's taken up. That your body is here in this moment. And mind might be another matter. But before we leave body, I'm going to invite you to imagine that the air around you is gently settling itself around you like a very light summer duvet. We know the air is all around. We can feel it when we go outside, and there's a brisk breeze at the moment. If you've been outside, you'll have felt the breeze on your face, and maybe the air in the room is not moving quite so much, but it must be moving because we're breathing. Just tuning in to see if you get any sensation of the air, maybe very gently tickling the backs of your hands, your arms if you're brave enough to have short sleeves, your cheeks, your chin, your neck. And then inviting you to tune into the breath if that's comfortable for you. And just noticing the breath going in and out. Knowing that even as you breathe in and as you breathe out, you are gently and subtly moving the air around you. That amazing duvet of air that has wrapped itself into every fold of your clothes. For some of us that have folds in the skin as well. But every single space, the air has wrapped itself around and fitted into every nook and cranny around your body and clothes. And that gentle holding, and just that gentle movement as you breathe in and out. Then the air around you must be gently shifting. Maybe so gently, it's hard to notice. But coming back to the breathing, Inviting you just to really notice as you breathe in every aspect of it. As you breathe in, you might sense the air just gently entering the nostrils. You might sense it dropping down the back of the throat. There might even be a little tickle at the back of the throat. And then you might feel the rise and fall of your chest and even your lower abdomen with each breath. And you can experiment with doing some deeper breaths just to notice all of that happening. But what is even more magic is what's happening just in the process of that breath. That our amazing human bodies can exchange toxins for oxygen. And that air we breathe out is different to the air we breathe in. Even in those probably milliseconds that the air is inside all of those little tubes in the lungs, that amazing chemical reaction, that exchange is being done. I'm just inviting you to just have that awareness that that is happening on every one of us that's on this screen tonight, in our own different locations all around the world. Isn't that amazing? It's happening for every human being anywhere in the world. As John Kabat-Zinn says, if you're breathing, there's more right with you than wrong with you. So all over the world, there are people breathing this precious resource. 16 miles of it. When you look back at the earth from one of the photos with space there, this is such a thin, fragile, vulnerable layer of air that is keeping us all as human beings alive. And we are all breathing the same stock of air that's probably been around the world several times. So wherever you are in the world, our air will have passed by you. But just then widening out the attention even more to every living thing. So that's all the animals that have got something very similar to us going on. But actually it's all the plants as well. The air we're breathing in, the oxygen we're taking in has probably been breathed out by the trees around us. That symbiotic relationship that we have with all of the plants, all of the nature that is going to be our subject for tonight. That literal connection. It's not a virtual connection. We are actually all breathing the same air. The air that's folding us around us like a duvet is brushing past the surface of the leaves of any plant in the vicinity. It's being breathed by any living creature around. It is literally keeping us all alive and enabling the wonders of what we are here to explore tonight. So as we bring the practice to a close, I'm going to invite you just to check in with what sort of awe and wonder there is, and appreciation and gratitude that there is this thin layer of air around the world that somehow protects us from the solar wind, that somehow enables all of this amazing life that we're going to be celebrating today, enables it all to happen. How amazing is that? How complex, how precious, how fragile, and worth a moment of awe and wonder, a moment of gratitude and appreciation. So maybe bringing your attention back to the breath for the last few breaths. And then very gently wriggling whatever you need to wriggle to let your mind and body know that we're bringing the practice to a close. So we all have our getting into a practice wriggle. You've got your getting out of a practice wriggle as well. It might be a stretch, might be any sort of wriggle, your shoulders, toes, anything else you need to wriggle, just to set yourself back up now for us to go on with our mindfulness in nature event. So I'll hand back to Kate.
Thank you so much, Liz, for that lovely nature-themed practice that beautifully set us up for this evening. Whilst your mic is off, Liz, I thought it would be good for the trustees to introduce themselves. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Miss Williams. I'm in Pontypool in South Wales, which is actually sunny at the moment. I am taking every advantage of this because we've had a very mixed day. But if we didn't have the rain, we wouldn't have the nature and the green, would we? So it's all worthwhile. And it is my huge privilege to be chair of Mindfulness Wales and to work with this cracking group of people, and in which I would include all of you, because one of the things we're really keen at, that it isn't just us as trustees. Mindfulness Wales is about all of us who care about mindfulness and nature and all of the other things that mindfulness entails. So that's me, and I am just really pleased to be here with you tonight in one of our events. The recording will go up on our website for future reference, and I'm going to say really grateful to you for joining us, because this is what makes it worthwhile. Our expanded network, not just Wales, across the world. So thank you all for coming tonight.
Absolutely, thank you, Liz. And then Umakant, we also have here this evening.
Hi everyone, I'm based in Swansea. I'm a medical doctor, gastroenterologist, and do lots of training for healthcare and medical people in mindfulness. And I joined as a trustee only a few months ago, and inspired by the work that Liz, Kate, and other trustees are doing.
Thank you so much, Umakant. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm Kate Tucker. I'm one of the trustees as well. And I'm based in Penarth, just outside of Cardiff in South Wales. I have a background as a healthcare professional, but mainly these days I am a mindfulness teacher. And of course, dedicating my time to supporting the work of Mindfulness Wales. Yeah, and spreading mindfulness in particularly around the kind of healthcare settings, because that's a particular interest of mine. So I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to share with you briefly around what Mindfulness Wales is all about, as some of you may be new to us as an organisation. So we're a charity based in Wales, as the name suggests, and we're on a mission to spread mindfulness into the life and work of Wales. And there are really a number of ways that we do that. One of the key things that we have on the go is that we offer free online mindfulness drop-in sessions via Zoom on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday every week, for 10 till 11 o'clock. So we'll pop in the chat a few links that relate to the things that we're mentioning. So one will be the link to the webpage where you can access the information about the drop-ins. And then another thing that we have on the go is that we collaborate with various other organisations. So we have different projects depending on what we're up to. And because, of course, we can't do this in isolation. So we find that working with other organisations really helps us with this mission of spreading mindfulness around Wales. So we have a collaboration on the go with a mindful photography organisation called Look Again, looking to pilot a project in the Newtown area in Powys, working with the young people there. Bringing mindful photography to them as a way of kind of bringing together, actually it brings together mindfulness with nature and photography, so there's the kind of the creative element to it as well. It's just another way into accessing mindfulness. We also have a collaboration on the go with the National Museums of Wales, where we're developing mindfulness trails across their sites. So we've been working with the Big Pit and now with Caerleon, the Roman Legion Museum near Newport. And I think next we'll be off to the Wool Museum in West Wales. So that's a fun project. And again, another lovely way that we can, increase accessibility of mindfulness and another way that people can engage with it, if you like. We offer compassionate mind training, which is in collaboration with the University of Derby. So Liz and one of our other trustees, Matt, have run a series of courses, which is a way that we can understand a bit more around what compassion is, how it's beneficial to us, how to bring kindness to ourselves, and then how that supports us in connecting with other people. And so we're hoping to continue to be able to offer this training in one form or another in an ongoing basis. So that's a real privilege for us. Then one of our main projects we've called Nurturing Mindful Communities. And this is a project that we were lucky enough to obtain funding from the National Lottery for. And it's been running for the last couple of years. It's coming to an end this summer. And this has involved collecting stories, what we've called stories of all the mindfulness activity that's going on in Wales. And we've been writing that up as a series of blogs, which are then posted on our website. So again, if you're interested, we'll pop a link in the chat to the page where you can access the stories from Wales. So this is a lovely way to just get a sense of the breadth of mindfulness stuff that's going on, be inspired by it, identify possible opportunities for collaboration, or if you're just interested in seeing what's going on in your particular area, just have a browse. There's all sorts of stuff there. People talking about ways that mindfulness has made a difference in their lives, the way they're bringing it into their lives, as well as teachers talking about particular projects that they have on the go. And then we run various events, obviously this evening being an example of that. We've got another one coming up in July. Sorry, Liz, I should have checked the date and I forgot to beforehand. So this is Dr. Labara's. Do you know when it is, Liz?
Wednesday, the 15th of July.
Thank you so much. So we will also pop in the chat the Eventbrite link for that, because booking for that is now live. So Dr. Labares is a surgeon based in the States, and she has developed a mindfulness course specifically for surgeons. But of course, it's very relevant firstly to other healthcare professionals, but actually to anyone who's working in high pressure environments. So yeah, we would love to see you there. So do check that out. It's another free event. And as I say, there's the link there in the chat now that you can book through Eventbrite. And then we have a big in-person event that we are planning for September. I think it's September the 12th. And again, the link will go in the chat here for that. So this is what we're calling a celebration of mindfulness. So it's the culmination of our stories project, where we're celebrating all the lovely mindfulness stuff that's going on in Wales. But it's an opportunity for us to come together in person to connect with each other in that way, which always brings lovely additional opportunities for us to share our experiences, to practice together. We've got some great speakers and we've got some lovely workshops going on. So things like mindful movement, mindful photography, mindful felting, mindfulness and poetry, a chance to sample the Compassionate Minds training, and some stuff to do with kind of theatre inspired mindfulness as well, with a kind of an underlying theme of inclusion and accessibility in mindfulness, because we want mindfulness to be for everyone. So yeah, if you're at all interested, if you're just mindful curious, if you're an established practitioner of mindfulness, it's for everyone. So we would love to see you there. Do come along. Liz, is there anything you'd like to add in terms of our current activities?
No, I think you've covered it there, Kate, but just to
Okay.
echo that welcome, because it would be just so lovely to see you at any of those.
Oh yeah, so the celebration event is in Llanhillith Miners Institute, which is kind of north of Newport, and it's easily accessible via the main road routes and train links as well. So having said that, let's move on to our main topic for this evening, which, as you know, is mindfulness and nature. And so first I'd like to introduce Ellen Pritchard. So Ellen Pritchard is a good friend of Mindfulness Wales, based up in rural North Wales. And Ellen is here to talk to us this evening about a mindfulness and gardening project, which she has been offering with a good old friend of hers, Sinead Edwards. But Ellen's background is as an educational psychologist as well as a mindfulness teacher. And so Ellen's going to bring together aspects of her personal background in mindfulness and how nature supports her in her mindfulness practice, and how their gardening project has come about and what they get up to there. So we're really grateful to Ellen to be taking the time to be here this evening and to share this work with us. So I'm going to hand over to Ellen. Ellen will just need to take a moment to share the slides. So if you bear with us for a moment.
Oh, hi. I couldn't work out how to unmute for a second, so I'm not optimistic about sharing the slides. Hang on. I was saying earlier, I've had tuition from my teenagers, so let's see. Can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see? Yeah?
Yeah, we've got that.
Yeah, can you see me as well?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Brill. Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much, Kate, for the introduction. And thank you so much, Liz, for that lovely practice. Gorgeous. Yeah, I'm Ellen, and as Kate was saying, I was an educational psychologist for almost 20 years. And it's through that work, really, working with children and young people, that's how I got interested in mindfulness. You know, from the perspective of just being really interested in the research and really wanting it as a tool to help young people and children. But of course, I guess like everybody, along the way, just developing my own practice and noticing all kinds of things shifting in me and realizing that it was much more than a tool in my toolbox. And yeah, I suppose it's become a really, really important part of my life, really. So yes, I was teaching mindfulness to young people and children, parents and teachers, and a little bit in the community as well, and enjoying my work. And then 2019, life changed suddenly, as life does or can do. And I found myself in a position where the family farm where I grew up on the Llŷn Peninsula was without a farmer. And so I took the decision to sign the tenancy for that farm, which was a big dramatic change in my life, but maybe not as dramatic as it could be, because I already lived on a farm with my husband. I'd grown up on the farm in Llŷn Peninsula, and then I'd married a farmer, even though I'd vowed in my teenage years that I would never marry a farmer, but I did. So we are living on an organic farm near Bangor. So it's a hill farm, so we sheep graze up on the Carneddau Mountains. But in 2019, I signed a tenancy for my family farm, which is an hour and a bit away on the Llŷn Peninsula. So kind of made no sense really, but did it anyway. And so tried to do everything like you do for about 9 months, tried to continue to be an ed psych and a farmer, but of course that didn't work. So in the end of 2020, I resigned as an ed psych, and now I'm a full-time farmer. And I guess that's really why I'm here, I suppose, to share with you a little bit and to share how that changed my life, really, and changed everything and changed my mindfulness practice. Yeah, and how I view life. So yeah, I went from working 9 to 5 in an office, well heated, well lit, to being outside 6, 7, 8, 9 hours a day, and just noticing really how that changed my mindfulness practice in the first place. Oh, I'll move my slides along. Yeah. So present moment awareness while farming is quite different. So what I was noticing was that my practice was coming with me day to day, if you like, a little bit like a stream running through my day. I don't know if you can see that first picture there. I'm absolutely soaked and windswept just underneath the Carneddau mountain wall, trying to plant 4,000 trees. So the feel of the wind on my face and the trickle of the ice, icy rain down the back of my neck was very real and very present. So there was that element. There was the element of coming into my senses and being almost arrested at every turn with maybe the smell of the gorse bushes on the side of the mountain, the lovely coconut smell and the amazing yellowness of them, which would stop me in my tracks, and finding that my relationship with my practice was kind of softening a bit. So I was still, sitting on my cushion doing formal practice, but it was more of a sort of a thing that followed me through the day. And of course, the other thing I noticed was how easy it is to practice outside, how easy it is to rest your awareness on a newborn calf when you have to wait to see if it's able to suck its mother. You're standing there with the beautiful lush green grass and the sound of the birds. That's quite easy compared to trying to settle your attention when your mind is whirring and thinking about emails and that kind of thing. So there was that element as well, that it was sort of much easier. But maybe the more surprising element for me was the kind of necessity of mindfulness for me while working on the farm. I don't know if you can see, there's a picture of my son delivering a lamb. I found that I had to be present in my body and with my senses so much more for my own safety as much as anything. There's a picture of me there with my belted Galloway bullocks. They're gorgeous, and they just, they live on the mountain, and they never come in, and they're fearless. They don't, but they can be terrifying, if I'm not concentrating on where they are at or how they're feeling. So there was this element of having to come into my senses and come into my body really to do my job, and just starting to notice the effect of that, on me and on my life, on my health and on my well-being, and becoming more and more interested in that. So there was the oh dear, there we are. So there was the element that I was noticing, that my mindfulness practice was changing, and that I was spending a lot more time tuned into my senses, but also noticing just the benefits of being outside, being with nature. And even though I wasn't a psychologist anymore, I was still really interested in why, how does this work? So I dived into the research behind this, and there's absolutely loads. It's mind-blowing, actually. There's so much research around what people report after being outside in nature in terms of reduced anxiety and increased feelings of awe and joy, like Liz was saying. But also, I was really interested in the really nitty-gritty sort of studies that measured actual sort of reductions in cortisol and physiological signs, studies that showed that being in nature and in green space was actually calming our nervous system. And I was fascinated to learn stuff like how rods and cones in our eyes are much more effective at processing green, for example. So our eyes are kind of at rest when we're processing green. And the same for our hearing. It calms our nervous system to be listening to birdsong. There was a study from, I think, Edinburgh University looking at the effect of looking at geometric or 90-degree angle shapes versus like fractal shapes like you get in nature, and how the latter sort of reduce cortisol. And I just was finding it really fascinating. And actually, I was on a farming course actually about soil health, and I was getting a little bit bamboozled with all the different things that you could measure, all the chemistry and the biology. And the soil scientist that was running it was just saying to me, don't worry about it. We've evolved, like the human nose apparently is amazing at detecting changes in soil and in soil health. And he quoted something like that the human nose can detect healthy soil from, I don't know, 3 meters or something. And he said, if you do nothing else, just take a handful of your soil and give it a sniff. And if you like the smell, it's probably healthy soil. And I just loved that. And I shared with him a study I'd read about that talks of how when we break into soil, either with with our hands or with a shovel, the microbes that come up to greet us, if you like, that we inhale, actually release serotonin in our system. And I love that because serotonin is the hormone of bonding and connection and love, really. And I just love that the soil is reaching out to us, and that we're so open to that if we tune in, sort of thing. So I was getting really excited about how well I was feeling and all the research out there. And I felt certainly that there was a physiological benefit from being outside, but I also felt that maybe there was something more beyond that when you engage with nature, a little bit like the breaking of the soil. And so I was talking to my friend Sioned, my lovely friend Sioned, that I met whilst doing my psychology degree. So both of us started off studying psychology. Sioned went off to become a florist, and I became an ed psych. But in the last few years, Sioned as well has taken on some land and is now growing her own flowers for her floristry business. So both of us all of a sudden were kind of in the same kind of place in our work life. We were just constantly obsessing over, the best gloves that you can buy and thermal vests and things. But when we finished talking about that, we were talking about, how we were feeling and what we were reading about the benefits of engaging with nature and partnering up with nature in a way, because that's what Sioned felt, that beyond the just physiological benefits of being in nature, when you're gardening or farming, I think you become like a partner with nature. So nature's doing a bit, you're doing a bit. So nature's providing the soil, you're putting the seed in, nature's providing the rain, you're doing the weeding, and it's like a partnership. And the fruits of that then is just a thrill together. And we wondered whether there was some more benefit around that, and there is quite a bit of research that suggests that there might be, that there's that old famous study with pot plants from the 70s where there was benefits in health in a care home for people who had a pot plant versus people who didn't. But the people who had a pot plant and were in charge of looking after the pot plant, so engaging with the pot plant, had even more health benefits. So we felt that there was something in this. So we decided that we would have a go at trying to find a way of sharing this, really, and seeing where it went. So we we started offering. Shoned's got a beautiful, unbelievable garden where she grows her flowers and fruits and nuts and veg. But it's a space with an inside workroom as well and an outside toilet. So we thought, this could work. We had some experience in running groups and leading mindfulness. She's very creative and has experience in kind of teaching people floral art and that kind of thing. So we thought, we'd check all these things in a pot and see what we came up with. And what we have come up with are monthly sessions that we run in her garden. So the sessions are really, really closely linked to the seasons and to what's happening in the garden or on the farm, and not just the season, but this season. Because in the beginning we tried really hard to be organized and sort of sort the sessions out way in advance, but we just couldn't. So every month the session sort of emerges a couple of days before the day, simply from what Charlotte and I are doing. It always starts with, what's going on for you? And it's always, I'm just really busy getting all my bulbs in, or, just trying to, whatever we're doing. So it was really important to us that the sessions came straight from, because we felt that was one of the big benefits of us from our jobs working outside, was that we were so closely connected to the seasons. Literally in my work now, I'm not in charge of what I do tomorrow. The weather is, or whether there's a cow calving, or how long the day is. In the winter time, I work from say 8:30 until 4. I'm in the house by 4:30 with a lovely long evening. But at this time of day, that time of year, I get up much earlier and I work much later. But what I'm finding is that that's absolutely okay, because I've got a lot more energy and I need less sleep. So that was really important to us. So we were just looking around, really. So this is a picture of what we made last week. It's I'm trying to think of the English word. Elderflower cordial. Yes. So because there was elderflower everywhere, and so we made elderflower cordial. So every session has a similar kind of structure, where we start in a circle. We have an arrival practice. There's always an opportunity to wander around the garden, noticing the changes in the garden. That's what people comment on, that the garden's always different. Then there's always some kind of activity where, like I said, we engage with the soil, or planting, or creating something from what we find around us. There's always tea and cake, and then there's always a finishing practice. And the reaction we've had has been lovely, really. People talking about how it filters out into their everyday life. Because one of the things that was really important to Charlotte and I was to emphasize that you don't need a beautiful garden like Charlotte has to feel the benefit, and you don't need to give up your job and spend your days in a field like I do. This stuff is like Liz was saying, just this breath. It's available to all of us. So one of the principles that we have is that we don't spend any money on the things that we make in the session. So it's all with things that we found. So the feedback we're getting is exactly that, really. The awe and wonder that people are cultivating from the things that they're seeing in their everyday life. The excitement when they come back after their pea shoots have come up, and they've had some pea shoots on their sandwich for lunch from their windowsill, and the taste of it and the amazingness of that from a tiny pea kind of thing.
Ellen, can I just interrupt for a minute?
Yes.
We've still got the picture of the field, you in the field, and it's
Oh no!
all the exciting things that you're talking about.
Oh, you can't see them.
Yeah, can you have a go at changing the slide? Take it on a bit.
Is that different?
No, you've frozen.
Oh no!
Your booster.
Sorry, I've been changing the slides. Oh, have they not been changing?
Okay. Don't worry. We can hear.
No.
We've been hearing you.
Yes.
It's just the slides that hasn't changed, and your image has disappeared. So
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you absolutely fine. What we could do potentially is if you stop sharing, then I could share it instead from my end.
Yeah. Yep.
Try that.
Yes.
We have the technology. We can find ways to make it work.
Say that.
Yes.
Okay, so we were slide. So that's the image of Sinead.
Oh yeah, it's quite close up actually. Sure.
Here we are.
Yeah, this is where I was. This is where I was
right?
with the elderflower cordial. Yes. So I'm almost coming to an end, really. Oh yes, I am. I can't remember. Yeah. So that thing of that it's accessible wherever you are, really, really important to us. And if you just take it on to the next slide, Kate, which is the last slide, I think. Oh no, and one more. That's just celebrating the gifts of the garden. So really, really, we go with what's around us. So in March, it's really, really difficult to ignore the gorgeous daffodils. So of course, the session is themed around celebrating the daffodil. But this one here is a session we did this time last year, actually. And Sinead and I were in her garden, kind of planning the session, talking about what we were doing at the moment, what was around, and we couldn't really concentrate because there was just a hectic, deafening sound of birds, toing and froing, wool in their mouth and twigs, building their nests. And we were like, gosh, of course, that's what's going on. So so we had a session of just building our own nest, so going around and gathering what we could find around us, and then sitting in silence, kind of weaving a nest. And I don't know if you can see, there's a little piece of paper. We had a practice where I think we were kind of thinking about what we wanted to nurture in our nest for the coming spring. I think I can't remember, but we were weaving that little piece of paper in as well, and just so many things were coming up around I don't know, connection with the birds, and sort of almost like just walking in their boots and like, gosh, this is really difficult. So how do they manage it and that kind of thing? So yeah, so lots and lots of different things, and lots of things coming up for people that we wouldn't have planned for. And yeah, just something that we've really, really enjoyed doing, really. And that's it. I think I've spoken too long. I think I've gone over the time, so I'm going to stop there.
There we are. I stopped sharing. So, Ellen, thank you so much for sharing your life experience and your journey with mindfulness, and how you weave it into your everyday life and your day-to-day challenges, and how you then go on to share it with other people in a most beautiful way. So there'll be an opportunity for some Q&A afterwards, but if anyone does have any questions and you want to just capture them, do feel that you can pop them in the chat at this point so that we can refer back to them. But now it's my pleasure to hand over to Christy and Steve. So Christy Guest and Steve Ridgway are the co-founders of Project Holding Space, which is based on a small holding down over in West Wales, where They offer informal mindfulness experiences through nature connections. So, for example, forest bathing and camp cooking and traditional living skills and gardening, sitting around the campfire, and really encouraging this engagement with the present moment without the competing pull from technology. So encouraging mindfulness through offering digital free spaces. So we're very grateful to Christy and Steve for joining us this evening and for sharing in this way. Just to mention, both Ellen's experience of mindfulness and Christy and Steve's story of mindfulness are available for you to read about in our stories collection as well, if you're interested in following up on that. And so their kind of social media links and everything are available there, and I will pop relevant websites in the chat as well. So Christy and Steve, over to you. Liz, for recording, do we want to spotlight Christy and Steve? To do that. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Kate and Liz, and thank you, Ellen, for that moving description of your life there. That was gorgeous. So, as Kate has already introduced us, yes, Christy and Steve, it's probably worth mentioning straight off the bat, we are not mindfulness teachers or guidance therapists or anything like that. This is we're coming to you now from our own experiences and conclusions. We're also not Welsh, as you can probably tell. We various things. We took the decision late 2019 to make a complete life change and relocate, and we ended up here in beautiful West Wales, Ceredigion, just inland of Aberaeron to be exact. We were both working in theatre. Backstage theatre, on stage, you know, all of it. And, you know, they could be very long days. I was a backstage technician, so I was working 12 hours a day, locked in a very dark, sweaty box. I never saw daylight in the winter. And we moved out to Wales to pursue dreams. One of those for me was to get a job in the outdoors, which I have achieved. So a lot of what Ellen was talking about earlier on is very, very relevant. I've retrained as a tree surgeon, and that is a wonderful way of getting right up close and personal with the landscape and the trees. And they are fascinating entities to be around. We've moved on to a 5-acre small holding and started realizing our dreams of being as self-sufficient as we possibly could. So working with nature, again, Ellen's description of that teamwork between nature, the you doing the weeding and nature providing the soil and the water, just perfectly nails really what we are doing as well. But around the land, we've created sort of little spots. So we've got some polytunnels and growing spaces, and also a fire pit in amongst the trees. It quickly dawned on us that we just couldn't keep this to ourselves. We had to share this with not only friends and family, but the wider world. You know, that sort of that realization that being aware and enjoying time in nature is so rewarding. So we created a community interest company, which we've called Project Holding Space, with the aim of quite literally holding space for people to experience nature in any way they see. You know, we encourage people to turn up, take their shoes and socks off and walk on the grass, walk on the land, walk in the trees, listen to the stream that runs down the side of the land. It's really important for people to reconnect with themselves in a natural setting, in nature, because we seem to have such busy, hyper-connected lives now. everyone's got a laptop or a tablet in their rucksack. Everyone's got a smartphone in their pocket or a smart watch on their wrist. You know, people have got Bluetooth earbuds in. Everyone's so distracted from the natural world, and it's a complete barrier to awareness and mindfulness. I think Christy may have some rather sobering statistics for us to listen to for a moment.
Yeah, I've been doing research into just kind of where we're at with our use of technology now. And there's a book called Off by Tanya Goodin, Your Digital Detox for a Better Life. And she's created a website called It's Time to Log Off. And some of the facts that she's got on there, one is we now spend an average of a day a week online. The average user logs 2.25 hours a day on social media alone. On average, we check our smartphones every 12 minutes, and UK adults spend an average of 8 hours and 41 minutes a day on screens, which for most of us, that might be more time than they spend asleep, which, yeah, it's definitely sobering.
Mm.
And that's where we were from when we got our first phone in our teens. Obviously, they were much simpler back then. They weren't smartphones. So it was a different use of it. But then obviously as they got more, the technology improved and yeah, they became smarter. There was more things to do, more distractions. So yeah, constant kind of pings at our attention. And I would spend most of the day just kind of scrolling. I would get on the bus to work, and instead of looking out at the beautiful landscape, the sunshine, the trees, I was just like scrolling. And yeah, looking back, it's kind of shocking because we made a decision to stop using smartphones, and now our use of technology is we have a computer. Each have a computer at a desk or a station, and that's kind of where we go. We check it, a few times a day. And if we're going to do work, we'll kind of sit down and actually make that decision to work. And it's made such a difference on our lives. Combination of that and moving to where we are now, it's just been a game changer for us. Because when we go out onto the land, we don't have, every so often a ping notification or anything. We are fully kind of immersed in being on the land and being present, and yeah, wouldn't go back.
No,
at all.
no, certainly not. It is an addiction that people are just completely switched off to the world. And the air that Liz was talking about in her opening speech was brilliant, and it's just things that people miss now and completely take for granted.
So I would like to guide you now in a visualization, a journey. So I'd just like to take a moment to ensure that you are warm enough and sitting comfortably. Then rest your hands in your lap and close your eyes. If it feels right to do so, I invite you to imagine yourself walking down a busy city street lined with businesses and shops. You can hear traffic in the background, smell exhaust fumes and fragrances of the people rushing close by. Some of them bump into you, and you realize you can't see their faces as they're all looking down. And then you feel it, that familiar buzz, the pull from your pocket. Before you have time to think, you look down and it's in your hand. You too are now looking down, lost in the scroll, missing what's around you. This goes on for a time until you catch sight of a hopeful pigeon by your feet looking for crumbs. And as you look up, you notice a tree-lined street you hadn't seen before, and you feel called to walk down it. At the end of the street, you come to a solid wooden gate taller than you. At the side of the gate, there is a table with a welcoming-looking box on it and a sign inviting you to put your phone in it and step through the gate. Normally, it would feel uncomfortable leaving your phone anywhere, but this feels safe and even exciting. You place your phone in the box and walk through the gate. The other side of the gate, there are trees all around, with a beautiful path guiding away amongst them. Here, you stop for the first time all day. You notice your breath moving naturally, in and out. There's no need to change it, just notice it. As you stand in the forest, I invite you to envision powerful roots extending from the soles of your feet into the earth below. These roots symbolize your connection to nature, to Mother Earth, anchoring you to her energy and providing stability. You feel the roots growing more profound and broader with each breath you take, reaching out in all directions and creating an extensive root system that connects you to the surrounding earth. Imagine drawing energy from the earth through your roots, feeling it rise through your feet and up into your entire body. Visualize this earth energy filling you with groundedness, strength, and resilience like the trees surrounding you. Then, as you exhale, imagine releasing any tension you may have into the earth through the roots extending from the bottoms of your feet. With each inhale, draw in the nurturing and grounding energy of the earth and the trees, replenishing your body and spirit. Then you notice the roots going back into the soles of your feet and the gate again. You walk over to the gate, and as you walk through it, you look around at the trees one last time, knowing that you can return here whenever you want to. And when you feel ready, slowly withdraw your awareness from the visualization, returning your focus to the sensations of your breath. Next, gently wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing your awareness back to your physical body, the room you're in, and the present moment. Thank you. I put together that the inspiration for that visualization, the wooden gate at the end of the tree-lined path was a gate round the back of my mid-terrace house on the edge of the city. There was allotment plots, and I was lucky enough to get to be able to look after one of these allotment plots for a couple of years. And the one that I had, people didn't want. Everybody wanted a rectangular patch to grow their vegetables, and I was on the waiting list, and I kept saying to the guy, "Are you sure there isn't one that's available?" And he said, "Well, there is one, but it's not really what you're going to want. You know, it's been neglected, and I mean, you feel free to come and have a look if you want to." So I did, and he led me down this path, and he opened the gate, and I couldn't see anything for brambles. It was literally like all we could see. We had to hack our way in. But there was just something about it, something magical about yeah, not knowing what you were going to find, and decided to take it on with an old friend, and we spent days and weeks reclaiming the space. It had been planted, it was a beautifully planted permaculture food forest. And yeah, we uncovered the paths and we spent time just being present, and we'd cover around the base of a tree and then we'd just sit there looking up in awe at it and realizing that actually the tree hadn't been appreciated for so many years, and it felt a real honor to be the ones that were kind of there and doing that. And yeah, we cleared another little social space and we ended up having little campfires, and just I realized then that was the first time that I realized how amazing it was to just stop, because yeah, we'd been so busy working in theatre and long days and rushing from here, there and everywhere, and then all of a sudden I had somewhere that I could just stop, and there was just something so profound about that, just sitting and looking at the flames flickering away.
Yeah, the campfire is, I mean, for me personally anyway, the campfire is quite central to my mindfulness awareness. But it's not just the act of sitting around a fire, which is amazing in itself, but there's, you know, the immersion in nature that you can create for yourself by making that fire. It's not about going into a supermarket and buying some firelighters and a sack of firewood from your local garage. You can quite easily go out into nature and collect forage materials from various different tree or plant species that will enable you to light a fire and then nurture a fire and see it from a spark and a few wisps of smoke right up to a warming heart. And it is, there is something magical about sitting around a campfire, because fire gives us so much. It gives us heat, it gives us light, it enables us to cook food, sterilize water. When you sit around a campfire with a group of your mates, you just feel happy in your surroundings. I mean, human beings evolved sitting around a campfire, talking, figuring stuff out. And that's so important to me with what we're doing here. I'm very keen going forward to start running some sessions, bushcraft inspired, because I've got a massive interest in bushcraft. So, going out and identifying different trees and plant species and their uses, and then practical stuff that you can do with your hands, be it, with a knife and a few sticks, carving a pot hanger to hang the kettle over the fire, to boil the kettle, to go and forage some nettles or some bramble leaves or some lemon balm to make a cup of tea that you can sit and enjoy there in the moment, with the sound of the stream and the crackle of the fire, and just stare into the fire, watch the flames dance, stare right into the heart of the fire, into the embers that sort of pulse almost like a heartbeat, which brings your awareness back to your own heartbeat and your own surroundings and your own moment. I would also love to start running some camp cooking sessions, where we come together as a group of people and somebody chops an onion while somebody peels some potatoes or some carrots or grates some cheese, and we get a camp oven, nice big old-fashioned cast iron camp oven over the fire, and we make lasagna, and another camp oven we make some bread, and then we go and forage some. At the right time of year, we can forage some ramsons, some wild garlic, mix them up with some melted butter and some parsley from the land, and make some garlic bread to go with it. It's yeah, there's some big dreams that we've got going on here with definitely with a mindfulness of what's around us in nature and what nature can help us with.
It's all about that sensorial experience, isn't it? Like the smells and the things, the ingredients cooking and the fire, and like you say, the sounds of the stream and everything. It's a very special place, and it's definitely your happy place.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Sat around the campfire with an acoustic guitar at night.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also very happy there. My happy place is in the garden and growing, and I love nothing more than being able to run down to the polytunnels and just spend some time observing what's going on in there. We haven't set up irrigation in the polytunnels yet. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But what we like about the fact that we haven't is that it kind of forces us to go down there and observe and keep a close eye on the plants more. And I think, yeah, I wouldn't want us to kind of become complacent thinking that, oh, well, everything's getting watered, it'll be all right, because yeah, it's only when you're kind of in there and you're kind of amongst the plants and you're just spending time that you might notice, oh, actually that one doesn't look too well, let's go see what that's about. And yeah, just sitting there kind of tuning into the surroundings and then just noticing the sound of a bee buzzing past, or a pesky blackbird coming in and trying to steal the strawberries. That was the other day. Yeah, I don't think we've actually had any strawberries this year, have we?
Between the blackbirds and our little boy, we haven't had a single strawberry, the pair of us.
Oh. But yes, so these are ways that we bring mindful moments into our own lives. And as we touched on before, we knew we couldn't keep it to ourselves. So we've kind of incorporated events that complement both of those, the gardening and also the campfire.
Yeah.
So we have we've dropped it was a monthly session, but now we've dropped it down to seasonal volunteer sessions where people can come and help us on the land, and kind of encourage them to enjoy their time with us. And it's not all about the gardening, it is about an opportunity to kind of put your phone away for a few hours and just be on the land. And people can take themselves off for some walk through the woods, some forest bathing, and find a nice sit spot by the stream. And yeah, it's really lovely to kind of see people come, they arrive, and they're kind of a bit like, can almost like see them like really tense, and then as they kind of settle into being with us, they just really kind of relax and just have this peaceful air about them.
Yeah, kind of decompress a little bit.
Oh, just noticed the time. Sorry, I think. Did we cover?
I think I've covered everything that I'd got.
Just wanted to round it up then with a very, very short. Where is it? It's Mindfulness in the Natural World book. I don't know if you're aware of it, by Claire Thompson. It says, if you ever have days when you wonder what life is all about, try this. Sit beneath a big tree. Lean back against its trunk and look up through its branches to the sky. Try to put aside for a moment any thoughts you are having at the time and just enjoy being there. And so if any of you would like to come and visit us and sit beneath one of our trees and experience that, then please do get in touch. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much, Christy and Steve. That was just a really beautiful example of living in harmony with nature, in harmony with the land, and living in a way that is mindful through fully engaging with the senses, what you can see, what you can hear, what you can smell, really, really being with the nature around you, being in relationship with the nature around you, as a way of engaging present moment awareness and being present, really. So thank you so much for sharing that, and interesting to reflect on modern technology and how that can be a kind of pull away from this present moment awareness that's so important for us, the kind of the core of mindfulness practice, really. Evening. And so just to bring this evening to a conclusion, I wanted to share a poem with you. But before I do, just to say thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. It's been an absolute delight to share in community together in this way and to reflect on the ways that connecting with nature in a mindful way can support our well-being. So many thanks again to Ellen and Christy and Steve for sharing their experience of that. And yeah, hopefully we look forward to seeing you again at future events. So do check out the Dr. Labara's and the celebration events that we've got coming up in a little while. And so I just wanted to conclude this evening by sharing one of my, this is slightly self-indulgent because it's one of my favourite poems. It's from Mary Oliver, When I Am Among the Trees. So perhaps just settling yourself into a comfortable position where you can just allow the words to land with you. Maybe popping yourselves on mute. There we go. So when I am among the trees, when I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself in which I have goodness and discernment and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches and they call again. "It's simple," they say, "and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light and to shine." So we'll just say a gentle and warm goodbye and see you again, and many thanks. Okay. Go well.